can't let Iran have a nuclear weapon. It's working out very nicely. They have no Navy. They have no Air Force. They have no anti-aircraft equipment. They have no radar. They have no nothing. They have no leaders, actually. Our country's booming now, despite the fact that we're in I call it a mini war, because that's all they are.
So it appears that the Iran ceasefire is on the cusp of breaking tonight as we listen to the update from the president from earlier today. CENTCOM Admiral Brad Cooper telling journalists on the phone this afternoon that Iran fired cruise missiles at our own U.S. warships, and we responded, sinking 6 Iranian gunboats. So Iran is lashing out, which isn't really surprising at this point. Iran also restarting their attacks on their neighbors as well. UAE, Oman getting hits, drones and missiles striking an oil terminal in the United Arab Emirates, reportedly hitting a residential building in Oman as well. Residents in Dubai, all the party animals there, spent their day sheltered in place as the UAE intercepted Iranian missiles overhead. The other big development, Project Freedom, they're calling it, the American plan to guide commercial ships through the Strait of Hormuz. So now we're putting a plan in place to try and get that oil out. Oil's up over $100. We're helping alleviate that by sending ships to the Gulf here in the U.S., but it'd be good if you get that other 20% back on the market. So there's advising on how to avoid mines, a plan that will eventually involve direct escorts, we believe, as well. CENTCOM says U.S. military support to Project Freedom includes guided missile destroyers, over 100 land and sea-based aircraft, multi-domain unmanned platforms, and 15,000 service members. Retired Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg joins us now to talk about all this, and it's good to have you back on, sir. Can you explain how we're going to get these hundreds of ships out of the Persian Gulf and back onto the market?
Yeah, Rob, thanks for having me tonight. Good to be with you. Look, I think give the president a lot of credit. He's done this thing brilliantly in what he has done. The only concern I've got right now is sequencing. We seem to be going, for lack of a better word, like incrementalism. We have the combat power to get those ships out of there using our naval assets as well. But you brought it up just a second ago. We're assuming more risk. That's okay. We know we can do that. We may take a hit, but we'll be able to get those ships out of there, which they should do. You know, this is a war, and the president calls it a mini war. It's actually a war, war's a war. And it actually goes back to 1979 when the Islamic Revolution took over with Tehran, with the Revolutionary Guards and the Supreme Leader. And then it really got serious in 2006 when you started looking when they were developing their nuclear capacity, when the IAEA said, look, they're enriching uranium well beyond the 3 to 5% you need for domestic use, and they actually went to the 20% and then 60%, and 80% is weapons grade. But at 60% enrichment, you can build a nuclear weapon with that. You get 10 dirty bombs if you want to as well. Yeah. But I think the president's got it right in the sense that what he's doing right now is really squeezing them. What I would like to see happen is even compound the problems for them even more. And what I mean by that, compound the problem, one of the principles of war is unity of command. And what you want to do is fracture their unity of command. What they have done, the Iranians, they developed a plan called Mosaic, and that's a defensive plan where they decentralized all their command and control to 31 Revolutionary Guards headquarters. So you may not know what Group 1 is doing compared to Group 2 is doing, but I think if we keep attacking their 31 headquarters and the people behind it, which is great, and maybe take out strategic targets as well, be it Karg Island or maybe the islands in the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah. We make it so they really can't do any command and control. And you want to reach a point where they break command and control. Why do I say take out, for example, the regional commands of the Revolutionary Guards? Because they control the Basij. And the Basij is a paramilitary organization. They're the ones who keep the people under control. Keep the people controlled. And if you can fracture that and break that up, then you really compound problems for them to have some control over the population and command and control their military. Yeah,
and you said there's 31 different operational centers. You just start bombing those. I imagine we know where most, if not all of those are, and we can do that. So hopefully that's part of the plan if this resumes, and it seems like it could resume in the next 24 hours. Iran clearly is lashing out, which to me is an indication that what we're doing is working, right? If they start lashing out, that means they're desperate. They need to change the calculus a little bit, that the blockade is really impacting their bottom line.
Well, my actually study of military history is the fact that when regimes are near the end of their their lives, they lash out really hard. And I think you're seeing that right now with the Iranians. They really don't know where to go. Now, that raises your risk level, and that raises the danger of something's going to happen to an American warship or to a civilian ship as well. But I think you have to accept that risk. If you're going to open it up, you accept it, but you make them pay a terrible price for it. I wouldn't say take out their power plants or hurt the Iranian people. What I would say is go after things that control them, which is actually the Revolutionary Guards and their command and control. You compound the problem that they've got to solve, and then you make it a point of that they can't handle all this at the same time. We're in absolute control of this. The president has done this brilliantly. We've got all the cards.
Yeah.
Let's play all the cards.
Do you think where do you think we get in the next 24 hours? Is it fire up again, and how does the president respond if that happens?
Well, I think what's going to happen is you're going to see retaliation by the Iranians.
Yeah.
Now it's going to come down to risk. Do they actually hit something that really affects us, like an American warship? You know, we haven't lost an American warship to combat since World War II.
Yeah.
So when you look at it, that'll increase the danger to our troops, but also our allies out there. The UAE is getting bombarded. They're responding quite well, but all of our allies in the Gulf right now are taking this brunt of punishment, and they're staying with us, which is really great. Unlike some other NATO allies or allies that we have who've disappointed us by not supporting us, the Gulf allies have hung with us, it's great for not only today, but the future as well.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so we're going to have to see what comes this week, as it feels like the ceasefire could be breaking. Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg, we appreciate you, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, Rod.
Okay. You know, everybody's reporting the same stories, the same spin. You turn the channel, it's always the same. But not us. We're different. We report the real news. No spin, just the facts. Turn to us, and you won't turn back.
Tune in to Rob Schmitt tonight on Newsmax.